Vocabulary from a story by Hans Christian Andersen. Blossom, flowers on a tree or plant. Example, in the garden, all the apple trees were in blossom. Pious, deeply religious. Example, a pious faithful soul closed her eyes forever. Pastor, a minister in charge of a church. Example, but inside the church, the pastor stood in the pulpit. Eternal, lasting forever. Example, the wicked, when they died, would be cast into hell, to burn forever and ever. Conviction, strong belief or opinion. Example, he said it in such a tone of conviction. Sulfur, a yellow chemical element that burns with a strong smell. Example, ... beside the hot burning sulfur flame. Terrified, extremely frightened. Example, all the people in the church were terrified. Propensity, a natural tendency to behave in a certain way. Example, ... their evil propensities would not be destroyed. Bestow, to give as a gift or honor. Example, God's kindness to us men is beyond all limits. Pensive, deep in thought. Example, the pastor noticed his wife sitting there quiet and pensive. Grasp, to understand something. Example, I am unable to grasp the meaning of what you said today in church. Infinitely without limits or end. Example, ... who is so infinitely good. Autumn, the season between summer and winter. Example, it was autumn. The trees dropped their leaves. Sermon, a religious speech given by a pastor. Example, unable to grasp the meaning of your sermon. Miserable, very unhappy or uncomfortable. Example, ... as a miserable hole where all the refuse of the world gathers. Refuse, waste, or garbage. Example, a miserable hole where all the refuse of the world gathers. Hovels, small, dirty, and poorly built houses. Example, they flew through rich halls and wretched, in a very bad or unpleasant state. Example, ... wretched wantonness and envy passed before them. Despair, the complete loss of hope. Example, it was your hard words, your despair of mankind. Fluttering, moving quickly with small, light movements. Example, and there was a twittering and a fluttering of all the little birds. Convulsively, moving in a sudden, jerky manner. Example, the criminal convulsively twisted as he was tied. Mercy, compassion, or forgiveness toward someone. Example, Father of all mercy, grant thou, to her, the peace. Illuminated, lit up with bright light. Example, they were standing before the magnificently illuminated gate. Torture, severe physical or mental suffering. Example, doomed to be tortured eternally by fire. Throes, intense or violent pain and struggle. Example, ... he saw him in the throes of anxiety over his gold. Vanity, excessive pride in one's appearance or achievements. Example, the sin of vanity was read by the angel of justice. Festive, joyful, and celebratory. Example, dance music was sounding through the festive halls. Anxiously, in a worried or uneasy manner. Example, he anxiously felt over an old ragged coat in which pieces of gold were sewn. Condemn, to declare someone guilty and subject them to punishment. Example, of the sinner whom God will condemn to eternal punishment in hell. Yearn, to have an intense longing for something. Example, the pastor yearned to bring peace to his wife. Redeem, to compensate for faults or to save from sin. Example, one ought to be able to redeem you, so is invisible, unable to be seen. Example, ... we shall penetrate into their most secret chambers, invisible to men. Magnificently, in a grand or impressive way. Example, standing before the magnificently illuminated gate. Gleam, a small or brief flash of light. Example, a gleam of light surrounded him. God's bright sun shone into the room. Hover, to remain suspended in the air. Example, the Spirit seemed to hover near the pastor. Bestow, to present as a gift or honor. Example, God bestowed the light of redemption upon them. Comrade, a companion or associate. Example, he gave his comrade a violent dig in the ribs. Sulfur, a chemical often associated with fire and brimstone. Example, ... beside the hot burning sulfur flame. Exclaim, to cry out suddenly with strong emotion. Example, he exclaimed in horror at the sight of the sinner. Bask, to lie in warmth and enjoy it. Example, ... the cat basked in the sun. Earnest, serious and sincere. Earnest, serious, and sincere. Example: the earnest and severe pastor sat at the bedside. Defiance, bold resistance. Example: his defiance toward authority landed him in suffering. Fervor, intense passion, or enthusiasm. Example: he spoke with such fervor that the congregation trembled. Alas, an expression of sorrow or regret. Example: alas, eternally how long. Pardon, forgiveness for a wrong. Example: ... but he still sought pardon for his crimes. Flame, a visible part of a fire. Example: the cooling waters of which extinguish the eternal flame of hell. Sinner, a person who has committed a moral or religious wrong. Example: give me one hair from the sinner, for whom the fire shall never be extinguished. Compassion, sympathetic concern for the suffering of others. Example: tears gushed from his eyes like a stream of compassion and love. Prophecy, a prediction of future events. Example: the prophecy seemed fulfilled by morning light. Awoke, to wake up. Example: his wife, alive, sweet, and full of love, awoke him from a dream. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video.